Hello, please forgive my voice. I am sick. I have an ear infection, so I sound like trash. And we all know my opinions of Rings of Power Season 1 at this point, so I want to talk about some of the leaks. I'm going to post a link to OneRing.net info down below in the description, so if you want to read it there. So there's a couple that scream out to me, and I'm not going to discuss them all, but apparently Amazon has newly extended rights to the plot points from the Silmarillion. I don't see how that will work, and that's being really honest, because they're notoriously protective over that book. They are extremely protective over the Silmarillion, and it seems like an act of desperation if Amazon are trying to cling on to it. Although I think that, going by some of the insiders and people from backstage, I'll use that phrase, on certain places and certain websites, that might have been leaked by Amazon just to kind of make people more interested. It goes down a few other things. Some of the stuff is quite generic. Sauron will be primarily played by three actors. Sauron in Thorm will be played by not Hellbrand, who is atrocious, by the way. I've never known such a pointless character in existence, and a character made up by Amazon just to create a love interest and a will they won't they. Gandalf, the Meteor Man, I think that's quite obvious at this point, meets his Shadowfax, the horse, which could actually work in many ways because Gandalf, and those horses, though that's not a normal horse. They live a very, very long time, so who knows with this one. And Bombadil and Goldberry are serving out a punishment as per a long-held fan theory. Hello, red flag. It seems news to us. I've never heard that fan theory anyway, and I agree with the One Ring here. And the series will end with Sauron forging the One Ring. Now, my problem is they seem to be jumping ahead quite a few plot points. And one theory slash leak is there may be a big time jump within the Rings of Power, a huge time jump. There also may be rumours that they were going to have a love triangle Twilight style, with obviously Galadriel playing Bella Swan, because that's how much personality she has. She is Bella Swan. She's an elf Bella Swan. She's absolutely atrociously written. And you know what I find really sad about her characterization? The actress that plays her is actually quite good, and I've seen her in a few things. The actors in this are actually quite good, but they're being handed some of the worst material. And, I mean, these leaks really add up to desperation, but also the excuse that Amazon didn't have the rights to this and that and couldn't do this. They changed what they had the rights to anyway, and then you have people screaming into the void that we should be thankful for more Tolkien content. Why should we be thankful for mediocrity? I find a very interesting statement. There was the scene on the raft, the infamous scene, which is atrocious, was almost not filmed for budgetary reasons, but this is $1 billion TV show, which is apparently the biggest TV show of all time. And yes, the first two episodes did extremely well, but the actual show itself, the audience dropped off. Badly paced, lots of just headshots talking, bad costuming, very cheap, and terrible writing, with rumours and insiders saying there were heavy reshoots and changes the second Christopher Tolkien died and Tom Shippey were out of the equation, because it screams of reshoots, and it's recasting as well, because a lot of the costumes do not fit those actors in a laughable way. The whole show feels very cheap. From, like I said, the costumes, the music sounds very thin, which is something else that I find interesting. It doesn't sound like an orchestra. It sounds like you've put it together in a studio, and that's a very different sound. An orchestra has a much fuller, richer sound. And also, just so people know, the soundtrack to this is coded extremely poorly on streaming services. Like, the bitrate is all over the place, and it's highly compressed, and it sounds like that in the show, which screams of heavily digitally created music. I don't have any hope for season 2, and I feel like they're jumping ahead, and I get the feeling that Forging the One Ring is kind of the end of the story, because there is other talks. Amazon are not in a good place. Amazon Studio is not in a good place. There is no if, buts, and maybe about that. They're letting people go. They're cancelling productions. They're bleeding money. And partly because people aren't paying for these services anymore. And what I will say, before everyone comes at me in the comments, oh, you'll watch it anyway. You'll give Amazon your views. There are other ways to watch things. By the way, the BitTorrents for this show are shockingly bad. Like, it's hours to download them. It's ridiculous. But the overall thing of these leaks and this information, it just feels like they're desperately clinging on to stuff and trying to get this. And there are a few plot points from the Silmarillion that in theory they could extend the rights to because they're featured in other material. That's also a thing. The appendices is a thing. The timeline compression is a joke. I think, and I said this in another video, if I'd made Rings of Power, I would have made something more episodic. Like mini movies set across different ages, different parts of the Second Age, I should say, that I think would have flowed better and you could weave those stories together. And by the way, the actors in this show are some of the most deplorable people on social media. They're good actors in the right thing, but they really need to hire PR people because they're trash. Like, their behaviour online is absolutely shocking. I'm amazed. Like, the age of actors being actors is over, I think, and movie stars don't really exist outside of Tom Cruise. But yeah, this just screams of desperation, and it feels kind of, how can I describe it? Desperation, and they're desperately clinging back. There's already been stuff behind the scenes of season 2, the team not agreeing on how the show should face, how the show should focus and where the story should go, and so on. There's already a lot of discord around that, and heavy delays have proven to be quite interesting. I just think the lack of promotion by Amazon and its official Twitter feed is very telling. This show should not exist. Don't get me wrong, I love the Peter Jackson movies and so on, but nothing beats the books, and that's being honest here. This show should never have existed in the first place because you cannot recreate magic. And you cannot win back a fan base that you've attacked, humiliated. And when you have people like Fellowship of Commies, who are openly anti-Semitic, starting a war, basically, and it's weird fan base. A lot of people I know who are normies won't watch the show because of the fans of this show. It's so strange to witness. I have a feeling the ending of this, of Sauron Forging the One Ring, is a get out of jail free card so they can cancel it and buy themselves out of the contract. That's my theory. So, tell me what you think in the comments below, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.